and synagogues. Great synagogues that are still being discovered. Sin is a Greek root. The Sanskrit equivalent from ancient tongue is sang, and ga is the ancient root for both synagogue and sangha. And so there will be thousands and thousands of Jewish men and their families trying to make the pilgrimage to Jerusalem for the Passover. Things are very tense. The old king Herod the Great has died. He has split his kingdom into 4 parts. He gave Judea, the central province, to one son who was very cruel, and the Jewish people revolted. And then Roman troops have been sent from Italy, and there's a large fortress in the middle of Jerusalem filled with occupying soldiers, and the central province, Judea, has been given to the governorship of a man named Pontius Pilate from Rome. He hates the Jewish people. He is known to be very cruel. They have destroyed Jerusalem only about 60 years before, less, during Herod the Great's time. And then Herod the Great has rebuilt the center of the city. He is a puppet king. He was ruling with the Romans' help. What's so special about Jerusalem then? It is the site of the Temple Mount, and on the high mount in the city is the temple. The first temple site was chosen by King David 1,000 years before. He decided to build a huge temple there. He couldn't finish it. His son Solomon has finished it. What is the temple for? It holds the tablets of Moses, the Ark of the Covenant. The Jewish people, as nomads before David, have been carrying these tablets around the desert, wandering on a wagon. David says it's not right. We have to build a proper place. And they start the Temple of Solomon. And you have to understand that the Jewish people believe that the tablets are a doorway to God Himself. The tablets, wherever the tablets are, then the divine being is there in the same place. It's like a door to another dimension. So wherever the tablets are, God is there also, and it's the only place where you can go and be in the presence of God. What's on the tablets are 10 commandments. They are the same as our 10 virtues. And I think it's very beautiful that Lord Buddha said, when I am gone from this world, you can treat those 10 vows and the other vows of the Pratimoksha as me. When my body has left this world, you should understand that those 10 rules of life written anywhere is me. That is me. I remain in the world as long as those rules of conduct towards others remain in the world. And they are literally me. And it's the same idea. So every Jewish person from all over the Mediterranean, from Egypt, from Italy, from Greece, from Turkey, Syria, they hope to come to the temple and be in the presence, especially during Passover. 500 years before Jesus, the Babylonians have attacked the Temple of Solomon, destroyed it, and destroyed the tablets. So the Jewish people built a second temple. And they left an empty room called the Holy of Holies. It's an inner sanctum. Only the keeper of the tablet can enter this empty room. And only once a year. Because the tablets used to be there. And that's the closest we have left of God. That keeper of the tablets is a position that is 1,000 years old by the time of Jesus. It is called the chief priest, head priest. It goes all the way back to the wagon, which was guarded by 2 priests. And so, for Jesus to go to Jerusalem is a statement. He is going to the seat of the divine being himself. And he's going to the seat of the most incredible empire that ever existed up to that time. This is the seat of their military power in the East. Herod the Great has gotten his kingdom by going first to Cleopatra of Egypt, and then to Mark Antony in Rome, begging for military help. If you help me capture Jerusalem and the temple, you can make it part of the Roman Empire. The Romans agree. They come a few decades before Jesus' time. They lay siege to Jerusalem, which is difficult. It's on a mountain and surrounded by very strong walls. But in time, they win. They are angry. It took so long. They destroy the city. They destroy the second temple, partly. And they install Herod the Great. He offers to build a new and third temple, bigger than the others. The Jewish elders, called the Sanhedrin, are skeptical. He's not a real Jew. He's from another country, Idumea, to the south. But finally they agree. He builds a huge temple. It is the size of 6 modern football stadiums. There are single stones of 100 tons still there. And the power around the temple is very great. Each Jewish family pays a very stiff tax to the religious authorities, and they are quite wealthy. Herod the Great takes the opportunity to build a fortress next to the temple. They share a wall. It's called Antonia Fortress, after Mark Antony, his sponsor. And there are huge numbers of very well-trained and violent, cruel Roman soldiers, centurions, living in the fortress, right against the temple. And so the scene is set for great tension and violence. The Jewish people hate the Roman soldiers. The Jewish leaders, the Sanhedrin, are trying to cooperate with both sides so that there is not a massacre. And now Jesus walks into the middle. First they go to a town to the east of Jerusalem. Jesus' mother has a friend. There's a man named Lazarus who has died. They ask Jesus, could you please come and pray? Jesus says, he comes to the house. He says, show me the tomb. They open a great stone in the floor. He walks downstairs. The man has been dead for 4 days, but the mind is still in the body. He speaks to the body. He speaks to the mind. The mind comes back. The man wakes up. People all around find out what he has done. Lazarus is happy. Word spreads to Jerusalem, not very far away. Thousands of Jewish people from around the whole Mediterranean are converging. Jesus says it's time to go. The disciples say, you will probably be killed. Thomas, the one who they say doubted, says, let's all go get killed together with Jesus. So they walk to Jerusalem. There's no room in the city for the pilgrims from other lands. They camp on the mountainsides around Jerusalem. The Galileans have a large camp traditionally on a hillside across from the city wall. It's a Sunday, last Sunday. Jesus says, go get me a mule. Tell the people I will be entering the city gate at such and such a time. People nowadays think that Jesus was being humble. There's an Old Testament prophecy that the new king will enter the city of Jerusalem riding on a mule. The religious authorities are very aware of the old stories. If Jesus wanted to upset them and alert them, the worst thing he could do would be to ride a mule into Jerusalem. And he does. People have heard about Lazarus. There are rumors of all his miracles in Galilee. People are ecstatic. They think maybe the Messiah has come. Many think he will liberate them from the Romans. And they greet him wildly. People throw their shirts and clothes on the ground before the mule. People spread palm leaves on the ground. And so we call it Palm Sunday, last Sunday. It's much too dangerous for Jesus and the disciples to stay in the city. They stay on the hillside outside with the Galileans. There are at least several hundred, many who have followed him from Galilee. There are the disciples, about 70 other close disciples who are teachers and organizers. And there's a large group of women who have been following Jesus to Galilee, wives of the other disciples, other women who believe. Jesus goes to the great temple. You can't imagine this temple. Every day he walks to Jerusalem, goes through the gate. He goes to the temple. There is a beautiful custom in the ancient Jewish synagogues, sanghas, that anyone could get up and give a talk anytime if they felt they had something good to say. And so Jesus is allowed to stand in the courtyards, especially on top of the temple roof. There's a huge courtyard. And he teaches. And he's not shy. He criticizes the religious authorities very much. He's sitting in their turf. He's taking a great risk to say anything. He sees money changers. You see, you can't make your offerings, your yearly tribute to the temple treasury in your own currency. You have to use silver shekels. So people change your money. They take $5 of your Egyptian money and they give you $1 shekels. Jesus is infuriated. He says, you are commercializing the temple. He actually takes a whip and beats some of the money changers. If he wanted to cause trouble in the temple, he's doing a great job. The religious authorities, on the day that they heard about Lazarus, have already decided to try to plan and arrange for Jesus to be killed. He's teaching how to overcome the Lord of Death. They could use that knowledge for their own families, for the people they love. They could use it for themselves. They would rather be envious and jealous and kill him. So he has to move secretly to and from the temple carefully each day. On Wednesday night, he goes to the home of a Jew who was collaborating with the Romans. Everyone hates this man. But he wants to know what Jesus is teaching. He wants to change. The disciples gather. A woman comes in. She is known to be a whore in Jerusalem. She's carrying a white alabaster box. Inside there are priceless oils worth a year's pay for anyone. She goes to Jesus and massages him into his hair. The disciples are shocked. You could have used this money for the poor. Jesus says, you don't understand what's going on. This woman knows I am to die. She's giving me the traditional ointment that is put on a corpse. One disciple doesn't believe. He has serious loss of faith. His name is Judas Iscariot. He goes the same day to the religious authorities of the temple, the chief priest. He offers to tell them when and how they can capture Jesus quietly. He does so for 30 shekels. 30 shekels is the traditional price of a slave. By the time of Jesus, it can only buy you a shirt. The next day, the disciples meet. Jesus asks them to come to a special place for dinner. That's tonight, Thursday night. Every home in Jerusalem has a special small stone-like bathtub outside the front door. It has a little step in the middle of it, and you pour water in there. And when a person comes to your house, they have their feet washed. No one washes the feet of a guest. It's only the lowest servant in the house, the one who's been bought for 30 shekels. They come out and wash the visitors' feet. We have the same tradition in Buddhism. When you go Argam Patim Pubine, it's the Padya. Jesus greets the disciples. He washes their feet for them. He wants them to learn to serve people. They have a final meal together. He breaks the bread. He gives them the wine. He tells them, this is my body and my blood. Every time you eat, every time you drink anything, you believe you are taking my essence. It's not just in churches. He says, anytime you eat a meal, anytime you drink something, then you believe I am in that, and I'm inside you. After dinner, Jesus takes 3 disciples, Peter and 2 others. He tells all the disciples, I'm going to the Garden of Gethsemane. This is a small olive grove outside the walls of the city. It's already pretty late at night. Jesus goes with the 3 disciples. He warns them to watch for trouble. He asks them to stay awake near the opening of the Garden of Gethsemane. And he goes and he prays hard because he's frightened. He knows what's going to happen. Then Judas goes and reports the place. He offers to take the armed thugs. These are not Roman soldiers. These are not even the men of people like Herod. These are local, like mafia, that have been hired by the chief priest and the other religious authorities. They don't have proper weapons. They have big sticks and a few swords. And they come to take Jesus. They enter the garden quickly. Judas says, the man who I kiss in greeting is Jesus. They don't even know what he looks like. Judas comes into the garden. He takes Christ in his arms. He says, Master. He kisses him. And then the thugs come in. A lot of them, 50, 100 people. Peter draws his sword. The head priest servant is at the head of the mob. Peter swings. He tries to kill the man. He takes his ear off. This is a terrible thing to a person working in the temple. You can't be a chief priest if you have any disfiguration of your body, especially your ears or face. It's worse than killing the man. Then Jesus says, Peter, what are you doing? Put your sword away. People who live by the sword will die by the sword. Don't you know anything? And he reaches out and heals the man's ear. And then he says, please don't mind Peter. And so Jesus is talking about karma. If you do violence to others, then violence will come to you. Only a fool would do violence, even to protect a teacher. You haven't learned anything. Because when you hurt someone and you see yourself hurt someone, then a seed is put in your mind. Always. That seed will come back, and then you will see people being violent to you. The mob coming for Jesus is a result of violence in the past. Only a fool would do violence again. And so we often talk, you and us together, we have often spoken about trying never to plant a seed like that in your mind. We talked about how to destroy those seeds in your mind that you put there when you didn't know that those who live by the sword will perish by it. We spoke a lot about how to clean those seeds from your mind. If you do it well, you will go to what they called heaven, what we call paradise. It's the same place. But there's another kind of mental seed maintenance that's very important, and that's what to do with your good mental seeds. We do lots of good karma. How to take care of those beautiful seeds in our minds. I think we often tend to concentrate on the bad seeds, and that's okay. We have to get rid of them and not create new ones by doing violence to people who are bad to us. And so, when I was thinking about what to teach, there are lots of small birds here. They are very lovely. They are good friends now. They come to us a lot. And one of them said, you have to teach Shantideva, Master Shantideva. I said, why? He said, there's a director of a retreat center in Arizona, and he wants to hear the last chapter. The one you didn't have time to teach in New York. So I said, I can't refuse. He's taking care of all of it. And I thought it would be good now to speak about the last chapter of the great guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. written by Master Shantideva, because we have to know what to do with our good mental seeds. We have to avoid violence to others. We have to try to burn the old bad seeds in our minds. But I think from time to time we have to celebrate, and we have to think about the good seeds we have. And there are special methods for making them bigger and bigger. Because we do a lot more bad karma than good karma, so we have to try to make our good seeds bigger. And it's a happy work, it's a joyful thing to do. Then I'll say a little bit about who Master Shantideva was, because there may be some new people here. I don't know. He lived about 13 centuries ago. He was a prince. Early in his life, he met the angel of wisdom, Manjushri. He became very religious. He meditated a lot. When his father passed away, the king, the people asked him to become king. He didn't want to. He wanted to go and be a monk. But he felt responsible for the people. But on the day of the enthronement, he came. He looked up at the throne. Manjushri was sitting there. That's his teacher. You can't sit on your teacher's throne. Manjushri said, you can't sit on your teacher's throne. So he said, well, I guess I'll be a monk. And he went. He joined the great monastery of Nalanda, which is now in the area of West Bengal in India, near Bodh Gaya. And you know the story, but I'll tell it one more time. He was a great meditator, a great yogi, a great scholar, and a great good person. He developed himself highly in the monastery, but he never showed anybody. He got the nickname of Busuku. Busuku means Mr. Three Thoughts, only wants to do three things: eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom. He was an embarrassment to all the monks. They made a plan to expel him. They asked him to give a teaching in public, which the monks did on a rotation. It was designed to embarrass him, so he would fail, and they would have a official reason to kick him out. Then he got up on the throne, the teaching throne, and you know the story. He taught the bodhisattvas, the guide to the bodhisattva's way of life. The monks were stunned by its beauty, as we are. The 9th chapter deals with emptiness and wisdom especially. As he spoke it, he rose into the air. People tried to listen. Some people could hear far distances. They had like super meditation. They heard most of the 9th chapter. He flew away. He was still talking a 10th chapter. Very few people heard it. Later, they found him in South India, far, far away. They begged him to come back. Oh, we made a boo-boo. He said, I need to do other things, but here's the book I taught. And the 10th chapter is, I think, must be the most beautiful chapter. It's on dedication. It's a whole chapter about how to make your good seeds grow in your mind. It's a whole chapter about giving away your good karma. Because when you give it away, as soon as you do it, it gets bigger and bigger. It's how to give your good karma away. I've asked Winston Law to arrange people to read each verse as we go. It's a little long. I'm sorry if it goes on a little long. I think we will read the first verse, and then I'll speak a little more, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll read the rest of today's verses. And I think about 15 people will come to the microphone and read a verse, and then we'll talk about it. So if Winston Law is ready, I'd like to ask him to read the first verse.
Thus have I completed writing a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. And I pray that by this goodness, every living being may take up this way of life.
So the way to make your good seeds bigger, the way to give away your karma, your good karma, is that there's a key. There are 2 steps. First, you have to think about the good thing that you did. And when you think about it, it gets bigger and bigger. There's no expiration date on good seeds. They can wear out as you get a result. But if you keep thinking about good things you did, they get bigger and bigger. In your mind, stronger and stronger. It's a very lovely practice to go home. Just sit there, 15 minutes, tonight. Think about the good things you're doing, the things you're doing well, the things you're doing right. Think about them. I think you don't think about them too much. And then we'll speak about how you give them away. If you don't give away your good deeds, if you just sit and wait for the good karma to come back to you, it's a little foolish. Because you just get one small result. Maybe if you were kind to someone, then someone makes you a coffee later on. All the coffees ever made in the world came from kindness. And then when the coffee is finished, the good karma is gone. So we have to learn how to reinvest good karma. We have to learn how to make it bigger and bigger. I always think of my boss, my holy, lovely boss from the old diamond company days. 15 years together. He was very wise. We started with nothing. We started with half a desk that we were using in another person's office. We shared half a desk and a telephone. And he borrowed $50,000 from a man, a Turkish man living in England. And there were many weeks when he couldn't pay me. But every time he made a little money, he wouldn't use the money. He would put it back into his business. So in the beginning, we had one small parcel of diamonds that looks like a piece of toilet paper rolled up. with some diamonds in it. But he kept using the money by putting it back into his business. He would never spend it on himself. He lived very modestly. And he didn't show off his money. He kept, every time he made more money, he and his beautiful wife, Aya, they would put the money back into the business. They wouldn't be like pigs and just eat it and use it and then be without. We have to be like that. The good karma we make, don't use it up, give it away. Reinvest it in the best place, the universal bank, other people. Give it away to other people. Later on, we bought a little safe. We hid it in the closet. One night, someone broke into it, stole everything. Later, we had a safe that was about 4 feet high, filled with diamonds. Later, we had a small room, armored room, filled with diamonds and gold. He kept putting it back into the business. Later, we had a very large room with armor plating and fancy alarms and 24-hour guards, and it was filled with gold and diamonds. Later, we had 2 rooms like that. But if you keep putting your good karma back, reinvesting in the universal business of helping other people, giving it to other people, it gets bigger and bigger. In Sarah Monastery, in the early years, in India, the students, we all had to go and plant a corn, 50 acres of corn, walking in the sun behind an ox and a man with a wooden plow. And it was terrible work. It was extremely hard. And the monks were very careful. They didn't eat all the corn. They always set some aside. There's a special building called a bangzi, and you would keep a large building full of corn for the next year's crops. You have to replant it, and every year the fields got bigger and bigger because they didn't pig out on the corn. They didn't use it. They invested it. So we have to do the same with our good karma. And then you have to decide where you're going to invest it. Who will you give it to? So I thought first to talk about the good karma you do that I know about. I think it's a teacher's job to remind the student very rarely about how good they're doing. I beat up these people all the time. It's not a joke. It's very hard for them. But every once in a while, it's a teacher's job to tell you all the great things you're doing. So each day I will take a different group and embarrass them. I think the first group, fittingly, should be the people involved in the 3-year retreat. I just want to remind you of your good karma seeds. And then we will read from Master Shantideva and decide where to invest them, who to give them away to. It's been 2 years now. This month is 2 years. And the retreatants you have done very well, very bravely, and very well. I think it's because you did so much good karma before the retreat. I want to remind you what you did. because then you can give away those seeds to others. Just remembering them makes them bigger. They crystallize in your mind, vasana, bhakcha, in the heart chakra, and they get bigger. And then you appreciate them and remember them and savor them, and then you give them away. So I'd like to talk about the good karma you did before the retreat. I'll probably forget a lot of things, please don't mind. And I don't know what has happened exactly in the last 2 years, especially with other people. Nowadays, the retreatants only see each other 3 times a year during 3 months of the year. One of you came to me, said, we talked together. We said, let's start a small school for other people. You said you would be happy to help. You said you would give up a large portion of your income. And we got a small apartment in a very dangerous place in the Hell's Kitchen. And we started classes there. You paid a large part of all of the rent, also for the classroom. You were working in a major, nasty diamond company. You used to come home every day exhausted. They worked you many hours of overtime. You were an executive there. You did the accounts for JCPenney, $30 million a year. And you said, I'll give it to the students. I'll help start the school. And you moved out of your comfortable apartment. And you thrust yourself into public life, which is hard. It's very hard. You don't have any privacy after that, and you didn't have any privacy after that. But you took care of all the students. There were, I think, 7 or 8 at the beginning. You came home exhausted. You made them soup on cold days. You made them iced tea on hot days. And the classes began. And now thousands of people, I think if you include Mongolia, maybe hundreds of thousands of people have listened to those classes. And it was because of your hard work in the very beginning. We didn't have any help. It was very hard. And you did it, and you didn't complain, and you helped everyone. Later on, you opened a beautiful little bookstore in the village. You struggled to pay the rent. I know you didn't have any money for food. I remember you used to go and get a bag of French fries to have something for dinner. But you served other people for free. We started out with the idea to have a coffee shop, but she couldn't bear to charge people. She started to give away everything. It got bigger and bigger. It attracted people who needed somewhere to go. There's nowhere in New York where you can go and sit quietly and read a book and have a free tea and talk to someone for 6 hours in a row. Holiest Lama in the world. And since then, you have conducted yourself in a beautiful manner. Your face has changed. It looks like the sun. And with that karma. You have entered retreat. You have to give away that karma now to other people. But you have to think about it often, what beautiful things you have done. There's another retreatant who was a college student, I think 19 or 20. She heard a class, she came, she said, "Can I do something to help?" You were going to the most expensive college in the United States on a full scholarship. And every day you took a train into New York. First you helped in the bookstore. Then later there was a crazy guy who said, "I think these tapes are great. We should give them to other people." You told John Stillwell, "Oh, I'll take care of that." And so you rented an apartment in New York. In addition to your college classes, you rented out all the other rooms. You slept in the living room on a couch. And you turned it into a factory for sending out tapes to people who wanted them, especially people in prisons. Then you said, "How do you do all this stuff? How do you make these classes, these notebooks?" We said, "It's all on a computer." You said, "Show me how I'll help." You couldn't even turn on a computer. But within a year, you were translating some of the classes from Tibetan, and you were doing all of the notebooks. Later on, you were a glutton for punishment. You said, "I'll take care of all the travel problems." Many trips around the world to teach. Later on, we were all trying to keep our vows nicely. You said, "I think it would be good to keep them in a book." We discovered this was the ancient custom, especially in the secret teachings, and so the custom of keeping a book came from your ideas. You helped write the Garden, a small book which many people have. It has helped people, I think. There's another retreatant who also moved to New York. You didn't have any money. You didn't have any job. John Stillwell took care of you. You said you wanted to help. You took responsibility for helping to preserve the ancient books. You went to Bell Telephone, I think, worked with a beautiful woman there, and a specialist, and the first book we ever scanned was done by that way. You took responsibility. It is the single greatest book of the second turning of the wheel of the Buddha. It's the 8,000 verses on wisdom. You got the whole thing beautifully scanned. It took many months. There are inside that book, very rare book, 1,000 drawings, wood carvings of all of the great lamas of our lineage. You went to a very difficult, wealthy man, talked him into sponsoring the work, and hundreds of those drawings were put on the web free. I saw a book yesterday from a yoga tradition which had many of those wood carvings there, and I was very happy because we made a point of giving them away for free. You did all of the work. The CD is free. People all over the world use those 1,000 beautiful carvings of all our great lamas. Later, you volunteered to go to Russia and do the same thing with a important, about 100 books from our monastery, which were burned and lost. They never made it out of Tibet. There was one copy in Russia. You went there. You didn't know the language. The Russians were very difficult at that time. It was very hard, and you did it beautifully. And now we have all of those books back in our monastery. When you people here studied the Heart Sutra, when you studied the Diamond Cutter Sutra, it was those commentaries we used. Later, we found out there were precious books in Mongolia. You said, I'll come and help. It was very hard. We didn't have any money. The libraries in Mongolia were asking for a huge sum of money to even look at the books. But you helped. We got the money. We paid them. Then we went to the library and they told us to leave. I left. You stayed. You said, I'll talk them into it. And you used your charm. Within a single day, you had all of them wrapped around your finger. I remember they asked you to eat some of their most difficult foods and some very terrible things to drink. And for the Dharma, you did it. You came back and laid on your bed for 2 days. I remember. You were very ill, as was your assistant. And now I have received illegal word that those books are being cataloged very nicely. The library is open. It's very successful. Books that were burned, lost forever, are being found. You did all of that work. You have to rejoice. And I think more than any other retreatant, you inspired the rest of us in many ways. Some I don't want to embarrass you, but I think especially in the joy of sacred movement, you taught us how to start. And in Mongolia and in India with the Tibetans, we trained. You really inspired us to do those things. And there are many other things. One retreatant came after those other 3. She said, I want to help too. And so at first she handled all the finances of, at that time there were 10 or 20 centers in India paying Indian Tibetan refugees to save Tibetan books by typing them into computer and then giving them away to everyone free. You handled the finances, which is to say, you kept the centers going with no money. They would write desperate telegrams, letters, faxes. We haven't paid anyone for months. She would write back, it's coming soon. And kept it going and helped find the sponsors. At one point, you came and said to the big American Lama, you're killing yourself. You don't sleep. You live off pizza and ice cream. You're not doing your meditations. You teach meditation to thousands of people. You don't make time yourself properly. You go on retreat and get distracted by other things. You have to straighten out your own practice. And she forced the issue, continues to force the issue. And you did a great service to all of us, I think. And you inspired us all to practice seriously. You are deeply devoted to the highest practices. You are like a dog that won't let go. And you insist on that standard for others, especially me. And it's a great service to all of us. You have great karma to give away. There's another retreatant who is doing retreat in a small island of retreat land near Santa Cruz. It's a special extension of our retreat. It has been from the beginning. You undertook a very special kind of practice. We spent a long time discussing, designing how to become a yogi and in the middle of a family life. And you have worked very hard at it. You are an example for all of us. We feel your energy and your goodness. You had many classes at your home for people. When the books on the CD-ROMs were sent out, you spent months and months designing a beautiful book. I think it was over 500 pages long of instructions for people, free. And it was exquisite. People all over the world use it. People came up to me in places like Bodh Gaya, the lamas I had never met. They said, tell the person who made that design, it's so beautiful, it's so wonderful. Later, you took responsibility when we were teaching how to do purification of bad karma. You prepared special kits for people to do special fire ceremonies. You did all the work at night, in addition to a part-time job and more than a full-time job with your children. But above all, you have perfected the yogi's life within a family, and we are all inspired by you. Later, you prepared thousands of pages of prayers for the retreatants. We still use them 3-4 times a day. We think of you often. You are an important link in this retreat. You constantly inspire us. You send us helpful things that we need. There's another retreatant here. You went to one of the greatest lamas in this world, Lama Supa Rinpoche. He was immediately impressed. He made you the director of, I think, the greatest retreat center so far, Winston, in in the United States. And hundreds and hundreds of people have been introduced to great teachers there and great retreats, and you did a beautiful job to make it even better with beautiful cabins. You had great teachings there. Lama Supa was so pleased he made you the director of the international FPMT. This is, I believe, thousands and thousands of students in, I believe, over 30 or 40 countries. It's a thankless job. These people don't get paid anything more than survival. it's 24 hours of emails. And you did a beautiful job. You pleased your Lama so much. Then we had an idea. I usually have the ideas and other people do the work and pay for them. We offered to Lama Sepa Rinpoche the Diamond Cutter Sutra printed onto silver plates with some gemstones embedded in them to be put into the heart of the greatest Buddha statue in the world that he is making. And you said, I'll take care of all of that. And recently I illegally saw the silver plates. They just come in the food basket, you know. Really. I didn't know what to do with them. I sent them back. And I believe they are being offered to Rinpoche. So you have done a very beautiful karma. All of you have so much good karma to give away now. I know you have many teachers. You all have great, wonderful teachers. Holy Lama Ken Rinpoche, Lama Sepa Rinpoche, Geshe Tupten Rinchen Rinpoche, countless other great teachers. But if I have taught you anything, and if you sometimes think I am teaching you, then all of the retreatants, you should know. You have pleased your teacher. I couldn't be happier. I think it's important for you to know it. I couldn't be happier or more proud of you. And during the retreat, you have all, those who are here, those who are on extensions, you have conducted yourself with great bravery. It has been very hard. Physically, it's quite hard. Emotionally, it's very hard. Spiritually, it is extremely difficult to fight with your mind 24 hours straight day. And you have stuck it out. You have done beautiful things. Everyone's expecting us to come out with smiling, sunny faces. We got old. People look tired. They have new wrinkles, more gray hairs. But you have done a beautiful retreat. You are an example to thousands of people that we've never met yet. And I thank you. The care ladies, I'm going to pick on you now. Before the retreat, you did intense good karma. One of you were running a section of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's office in New York. You were arranging for His Holiness's plans to be fulfilled. You were working very hard. At the same time, you were serving your Lama. You were living on nothing. You were making beautiful books. You have made I think, an 800-page book of the ancient texts that we use in our retreat. You did astounding work. I sometimes take it out I look at it, I can't believe it. You gave up everything you owned. You had a house, you sold it. You dedicated that money to all of the retreatants, not one, to all of them. Then you said, that's not enough. I'll be your slave for 3 years. And you've worked. I know how hard it is. We couldn't be here without you. And you continue to do more and more things. You have unbelievable good karmas. You can expect some shit to come. I'm not kidding. Okay? You're attracting great forces. As another care person, care deity, she was working as taking care of children in a very large school system, a religious school system in New York. I remember you came to class one time. You were crying, and a child's parent had killed themselves. You had spent days trying to help them. You did that kind of work for years without any much pay. You worked hard. They didn't have enough help. This powerful karmas you have. You both became nuns. It's a powerful, good karma. You have to give it away. The third principal care person. You came quietly in your quiet way. You preferred to be anonymous. You did many good things. You went to the retreat center in Connecticut. You helped make that place ready for many, many people. You became very ill from the work. You had tremendously painful treatments. You never told anyone. I found out. And you continue to serve us humbly, anonymously. You have incredible good karmas. If you three were hoping to please your lama, one of your lamas, you couldn't have done better. You couldn't do anything better than what you were doing. It's extraordinary. If people remember what the retreatants have done, they must remember what the care people have done. I think it's probably more difficult than what we are doing. And now I should pick on the director. You and Mrs. Director. You gave up everything. You had a fat job in one of the biggest companies in New York. You were teaching at Columbia University. We couldn't run the classes in New York. We couldn't afford the places where we gave the teachings. Suddenly, checks started to come. I never heard of this guy. Later on, you turned your house into a factory for tapes and notebooks. You sent out thousands of them. You produced thousands of them. I didn't even know much. I heard about it. You were working full-time. Mrs. Director was having a child. You just did it. You both did it. You took responsibility and you did it and you helped. Hundreds of people got free notebooks in New York. They didn't come from outer space. Someone was working over a full-time job and coming home, and he and his wife were producing them and paying for them. Much at the cost. Then you gave up all of it, everything. You arranged for this land to do the retreat. You have taken responsibility. You have cared for us like our parents. Anything we need comes. It's like magic. It's embarrassing. Sometimes before we ask, it comes. So you can't waste those karmic seeds. You have to reinvest them. You have to sit down tonight, and I hope you will do it for a few weeks, and think about all the wonderful things you are doing, all of you. It's extraordinary. There isn't anything going on like this. There are a few dedicated people who have done this kind of retreats, but not many. I tell you honestly, when we went to Sarah May Monastery and we met with High Lamas to ask advice, they looked at us with a strange look. 3-year retreat, no one has done that for, long time. It's like going to a Christian church and saying, I want to learn to walk on water. You know, I know you teach that. So that was the old days. No, the reaction was the same. They stared at us. They said, 3 years? You sure? And so you're reawakening old custom. It's beautiful. I think we have done that in many things. But you have all set an example. I tell you honestly, not just for the Westerners, but even the Tibetan Buddhists are very happy. Likewise, there are many people, I think many here, who gave a lot of their funds. They just freely gave them as much as they could, and without that we couldn't stay here. We're not naive. We know someone's paying for everything, and we know it's expensive. And you have that karma. You have given it so freely, you haven't even cared if we know. Other people came and built the places where we stay. You have that karma. Other people send us beautiful, exquisite things that we need. We need ancient books. People, especially in Boston. People, especially one amazing American Lama in Howell, New Jersey, have been sending us all the things we need, books. One of the people here, I think, is paying for many important ancient texts that we are using. You have these good karmas. You all have this amazing karma of these first 2 years. You have to think about it. And the rest of you who have come here, we feel you. A few weeks before retreat, it becomes almost unbearable. We don't sleep at night because you're 3 hours ahead. And we feel your prayers. We feel your wishes for us. We know that people sit in coffee shops and remember us, and we feel it, and it helps us go on. It has been a great inspiration to us. We don't have psychic powers. We feel you thinking and praying for us. I think everyone here, in their mind at least, is hoping that we will do well, and we feel it. So you have this karma. Everyone here has the karma of the 3-year retreat. You have to think about it. Don't be shy. This is a holy practice. Lord Buddha told us to do this practice. Think carefully tonight while you're driving home, while you're sitting in your tent or your hotel, motel room. Think about all the good things you've done to help this holy retreat. We are not great people, but we are trying very hard. And we are maybe some of the first to try this. It hasn't always been easy or successful in every way, but it is a statement in the universe. This small group of people have decided that it's important to really try to reach enlightenment in this lifetime. So of all the people on this earth, at least we are trying very hard. You're helping us. Everyone has an extraordinary good karma. You have to understand that. You have to think about it. And now you have to give it away to other people. First, you have to clearly admit that you are doing some really goddamn heavy good karma. And you have to pat yourself on the back. It's always a little mixed up with negative emotions and lesser motivations, but it's extraordinary karma. It is like a nuclear, it's like an atom that's about to explode into a nuclear bomb. You are making that kind of karma as we speak. You have been making that kind of karma. You must think about it. Even when you focus your mind on that karmic seed, it gets bigger. If you just remember what you did before retreat, or while you're here, if you remember what you've done for this retreat, the thinking of it awakens that seed. It makes it stronger and stronger. Then it's ready to give away. I'd like to take a break, and then we'll talk about how to give it away and who to give it to. So I'd like to speak a little bit about how you do dedication, or giving away your karma, sending your good karma to other people, reinvesting it in the earth, in the place where it came from, other people, the sweet, holy other people. So let's say that you are one of the many people, I don't think we've met most of them, who come and help the caretakers. We often get a very odd meal, like Japanese sushi or some exquisite Thai dish. We feel embarrassed. We're not like Milarepa at all. We have a sign in retreatant language. We go like that. It means somebody flew in today. And not that the other meals aren't extraordinary. You should know, I'm not exaggerating. We are served extraordinary, beautiful meals constantly, all the time, every day. It's embarrassing in many ways. But suppose you're one of those people who came to work anonymously, the best way. Then you have this good karma. Now you have to plant it somewhere. You have to send it somewhere. That's like putting it in the bank. It's like reinvesting it. So for example, you could sit down tonight and think, I washed dishes for Venerable Jigme Pamo for a month. I dedicate that. I send it. And you could send it, for example, to one of your teachers. We all have many beautiful teachers. Just in this retreat, during the break months, many wonderful teachers are coming to help us. They fly from far away. They give up their work with many other people. They sacrifice all of their income for that time. They come to serve us, to help us, and each of the retreatants has been blessed by several wonderful teachers. So you could dedicate that good karma to that teacher's long life. I dedicate the karma of this retreat to the long life of my holy teachers, especially those who are sitting here. Does it help their long life? Can you make someone live a long life just by thinking it? For this you have to understand emptiness and how karma works. I'll speak a very tiny bit. It takes a long time to understand clearly. But when you meet one of your holy teachers, actually they are just a big lump of skin and arms and legs and a head. And whether you hear them teaching you or not, all depends on your karma. Nothing is coming from their side. Nothing. Everything you are seeing because you served teachers in the past and you helped teach people in the past. That big lump of flesh is teaching you. You see it teaching you because karmic seeds are exploding in your consciousness. And the karmic seeds are planted mostly by intention. If you truly intend to help other people, everyone around you, all the time, then powerful seeds are being planted in your mind. If you learn this art of giving away your good karma to other holy people, holy, sweet, living creatures, all other people, if you learn this skill, then really you're just planting incredibly vast amounts of new good karma in your mind, and that will flower, and you will meet that teacher again and again and again, and they will teach you until the day you reach enlightenment. So yes, this is extremely powerful. This is the way to bring the teachers to you. Think about the karma you did for the 3-year retreat. Please think about some of it now, and then send it in your mind. Say, I send this good karmic energy to my teacher's heart to ask him or her to live for a long life. And that is a perfect act of dedication. That's how you give it away. Imagine that the power is coming out of your heart, not your physical heart, but from the very subtle drop of consciousness that lies behind the heart, close to the backbone. See it coming out as a kind of crystal light. It's light, but it doesn't have any color. It's like water. You can think of it as ripples of light. You drop the good karma in a quiet pond, and then the ripples start to go out. And they touch your teachers. They touch your teachers in the heart, in their heart. And that actually begins to work. And the teachers will keep coming to you. You will see your current teachers happy and well and healthy. And then you will see new teachers coming over and over, higher and higher. So let's try now, just a minute or two. Think of one of the good things you've done for this retreat especially. And then send it to one of our sweet, holy teachers. We are so blessed. We have so many. We have Holy Lama Ken Rinpoche, whose kindness to us you can't imagine it. And Holy Lama Super Rinpoche, and of course His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And send this energy now, at this moment. Drop the good karma in the pond, watch the ripples go out, and touch them in their heart, in the little tiny drop of consciousness in their heart. So let's do that for a minute or two. Now we'll finally get to the text. I'm sorry to go so long. Master Shantideva's good karma is that he wrote the book about how to be a bodhisattva. And at the end of the book he says, I give away this good karma. And then you need somewhere to give it to, and he gives it to all of us. And he says, may everyone who ever lives learn to act like a bodhisattva, giving every moment of their entire life to help countless living creatures. Never stopping, never wavering from that one goal. Your whole life, every moment of your life. And he sends it to us. We have been given that karma. Now I'd like to ask that the second reader read the second verse, please.
By the power of this good deed, too, may any single living creature, in sickness or in pain, of body or of mind, in any corner of this universe, be thrown into a sea of bliss.
When you give away your good karma, either send it as help for someone who is in trouble, or send it as something beautiful to someone who isn't in trouble. And these are the two kinds of love. They're called Maitri and Karuna, Jamba and Nyingje in Tibetan. And the first kind of love seeks to remove other people's problems. The second kind of love seeks to give them happiness. So when you send away your good karma, you can send it for either goal to stop people's pain forever, or to give them ultimate happiness. These are the two great purposes for which to send your karma, your good karma. I'd like to ask the third verse to be read.
And for as long as they may wander in the circle of suffering life, may they never lose this bliss. May every one of them one day reach the bliss beyond all other and stay there never ending.
I think there are three different basic types of people in the world. I don't know who's who, and I don't assume to know. The first kind doesn't think about other people much. They are concerned about their own happiness. I think if you are not Buddhists already or Bodhisattvas, you and I, we tend this way sometimes. Then there are other people who truly want to help people, and they do it in the immediate ways. They help other people who need money or food or places to stay. Things like that. Then there are special people who understand the true stakes of life, that it's not enough to give people food or money or place to stay, because they will still suffer. While they eat, they are getting old. While they sleep in the place you prepared for them, they are getting old. While they use the money you gave them, they are getting old the stakes are higher than that. We have to work to stop all pain, all suffering, even death itself, and especially death itself, and all forms of unhappiness forever. So in this verse, Master Shantideva is saying, I send my good karma to help people in a short-term way, but I also send my karma to help people in the ultimate way. And then you meet people who say, I'm helping people in the ultimate way. I don't need to help people with food or money or places to stay. But that's not how bodhisattvas live. Bodhisattvas are working constantly for universal plans. Every creature in the universe, they are working for them directly. But if someone comes into your yurt and they look tired, then you sit down and make them a cup of tea and you serve them. Bodhisattvas have to do both. I'd like someone to read the next verse.
And by this power, may the blind open their eyes and see the beauty. May the deaf hear the song of sound. May every woman with child give birth, as Maya, the Buddha's angel mother, did him without a hint of pain.
This begins a whole section of the dedication chapter where Master Shantideva is speaking on 2 or more levels all the time. There will always be 2 or more levels going on. He prays first. He sends his good karma out to all blind people. And if you've known a blind person, it would be a wonderful thing to give them sight. And he sends his good karma out that way. Can it give sight to a blind person just to think about sending them your good karma? Where did the blind person come from? What made the blind person? Why did you meet a blind person? It's painful to watch a blind person. If it's painful for you, you must have done something negative in the past. So in a sense, you've helped create this blind person for you in your life. So if you pray sincerely for their sight, it will change. If you know the real method of giving away your karma, you can give people sight in this life. You can actually perform these miracles. But on a deeper level, Master Shantideva is beginning a long section of praying that people wake up. He's sending his karma to people who are like sheep going to the slaughterhouse. We have beautiful cows here. They walk around. They like us now. They stick their head in the fence. They get a cookie. Sometimes they look like they'll pull the fence down. But every time you see a cow here, it's kind of sad in our hearts because we know they are here to fatten them up and go kill them. It's almost intolerable to feel it. We hear them crying at night sometimes for the ones who are taken already. They are innocent. I saw the way they were brought to the truck for slaughter. They were offered beautiful bunches of carrots, fresh carrots. They couldn't resist. They didn't know why the carrots were there. They were being led to a truck that would take them to the slaughterhouse. They are innocent. They are trusting. And everyone in the world, all the humans are the same. They are sincerely trying to live a good life. They are trying to help their families. They are trying to do a good job. They are trying to get by. They're really trying to be happy, but they don't know how bad things are. They keep hoping for things that will never happen, and then they are slaughtered. They are helpless as the cows. And so the first prayer here is, please wake up. Look at what's happening to you. Look at where things are going. Look where all the other cows have gone. Open your eyes. It's something very bad here going on. We have to try to stop it. It's not enough to do small good things. We have to try to stop death itself, suffering itself. We have to try to remove it from this whole planet and other worlds. So the first prayer here is, I send my good karma to all those innocent millions of people on this planet who are walking slowly to their death, not knowing, not thinking anything else could be. Then he says, may the deaf hear. Because often you meet people, you give them very convincing, logical arguments why they don't have to die, why their body can actually change, but they can't hear it. They smile at you with a sort of smile that says, little wacky this one, and then they're gone from your life, and they don't hear. Jesus often accuses his disciples of having hard hearts. He says, I'm telling you how to stop the pain of every living being, and you don't even hear it. Then he makes a special prayer. He sends his good karma to every pregnant woman in the world. It's a very beautiful prayer. When I first read this chapter, which is in the monastery, we read this chapter separately as a prayer, oftentimes in the temple. All the monks will sing this prayer together, this whole chapter. I said, how wonderful to think about the magic of a woman. She is about to give the most precious gift you can give of life, at the risk of her own life. To be a mother is the perfect kind of bodhisattva deed. To know as you conceive this child that you are risking your life to give life to another is so beautiful. And for Master Shantideva to pray for them, to send his good karma to every pregnant woman. May they not suffer during the labor. May they give their child as Lord Buddha's mother did. Lord Buddha's mother in Tibetan is called Lagyuma. In Sanskrit it's Maya. And when she gave birth to Lord Buddha, he just popped out of her side. No pain. They say that holy beings are especially careful not to give pain to their mothers when they are born. And so we pray that every woman who has conceived a child and has that special suffering of carrying the child for so long and knowing the dangers of childbirth, we send our good karma to them. It's very powerful. On a deeper level, Master Shantideva is praying for the successful birth of every spiritual person. May you open your eyes and see the trouble we and everyone else are in. May you hear the instructions on how to stop it forever. May your birth as a bodhisattva be happy and painless.